BMW is known for many things: legendary touring cars, amazing engines, a progressive styling department that only hires blind people. They are a truly fantastic performance car manufacturer. But you know what's one thing they're not really known for? Mid-engine supercars. And yet they were a very early adopter of the mid-engine 70s wedge, what they're often overlooked, but equally important, M1. In the mid-1970s, BMW was watching Porsche dominate sports car racing with various versions of the 93911, and having just created their own racing division, M, for motorsports, BMW couldn't just stand sitting on the sidelines as their German rivals won Group 4 championships. There was one problem, though. They didn't have a car. They did have a prototype, though, the E25 Turbo. The internals were from a 2002 Turbo, but the body was a 70s wedge with gull-wing doors. It's awesome. And with the Turbo as the basis, BMW hired the best of the best. This new car's bodywork was done by Italo Design's Giugiaro, the suspension was designed by Dallara, and the chassis was from Lamborghini, and Lamborghini would also produce the 400 cars required for homologation. Except that wasn't going to happen, since Lamborghini had money problems and kept delaying production, so BMW damned their deal and built the thing in-house with M Division. Now, up to this point, M had only built the 3-liter CSL, and even that was a joint project with Alpine. So M's first solo program was called the M1. They may have been inexperienced at naming things, but they were very experienced at building damn good engines. It does help when the designer Paul Rorsch would later develop the S70 V12, so good job hiring him. And that new engine for the M1 would be a masterpiece, a 3.5-liter inline-six with Bosch fuel injection, 4 valves per cylinder, and 6 individual throttle bodies. It made 273 horsepower and 243 torque in 1978 without forced induction. And to make things even better, it was mounted in the middle. And the other guys didn't slack off either. Lamborghini may not have built the cars they were supposed to, but their chassis design was excellent. The tubular space frame was strong enough to allow Dallara's suspension to be softer without compromising the handling, making it more usable on the road. And that also carried over into the amenities. It had power windows, air conditioning, and a radio, but the whole thing still weighed just 2,900 pounds. It was a damn good car. The 399 production cars were first sold in 1978, and it was praised as one of the best sports cars in the world at the time. It wasn't cheap, $115,000 45 years ago, but the performance was fantastic. 0 to 60 under 6 seconds at a top speed of 165 miles an hour, and nearly half a century later, it's still one of the greatest cars BMW has ever made. Not that they made them particularly quickly, since each one was hand-built, all 399 weren't finished until 1981. And that actually caused a bit of a problem. Since BMW had developed the road car and the race car simultaneously, they had a bunch of race cars lying around waiting for the production number to be met for homologation. And of course, that wouldn't be met for some time. But BMW had a plan. They discussed the idea of a one-make racing series with Max Mosley. He was their partner in Formula 2, who was also, coincidentally, making inroads with Formula 1 management. And he secured a deal where the M1 ProCar Championship would be a support series for F1 until homologation was met. Each ProCar was an identical M1 in full FIA Group 4 spec. This gave BMW some promotional material and critical testing time for their Group 4 endeavors. There were some hiccups though. Both Renault and Ferrari banned their drivers for competing for obvious reasons, and Michelin did as well since Goodyear supplied BMW's tires, so that was already a large portion of the grid knocked out. But still, they soldiered on. Each ProCar race ran before the respective F1 Grand Prix, and the inaugural 1979 season had 8 events spread across Europe, with some big names attached to it despite the previously mentioned bands. Clay Regazzoni, Nelson Piquet, Mario Andretti, Emerson Fittipaldi, Alan Jones, and that year's ProCar champion, Niki Lauda. Fun fact, it was Lauda's involvement in ProCar that introduced him to Ron Dennis, who later got Lauda his seat at McLaren where he won his 3rd F1 title a few years later. BMW continued supporting the series in 1980 where Nelson Piquet won 3 out of 9 races to take the crown. And then finally, the 399th car was built, and the ProCar series was ended as BMW had finally fulfilled their homologation requirements. But the result was kind of disappointing. The problem with developing a car in 1978 to race in 1979 but end up racing them in 1981 is that cars and technology evolve in that time, and, well, the M1 simply was not a match for the Porsche 935, and in overall endurance races it was thoroughly outclassed by the Group C prototypes, with a best finish of 14th at the 1984 24 Hours of Le Mans. These poor results might have been why someone at BMW France said, "Screw it, we're not working in endurance racing, let's try Group B rallying." And you know what, it wasn't that great there either. It was kind of like the Lancia 037, rear-wheel drive mid-engine rallying sports car. But there's a critical difference between Lancia and BMW France. BMW France hadn't already won multiple titles, and they didn't have any real factory support, so the program finished in 1984, once again with mediocre results at best. And after Group 4 racing ended, BMW would take their homologation special ideas to touring cars with the M3, and they haven't looked back. Yeah, I know they made the mid-engined i8 in 2013, and it's a nice car, but it's not really a race car like the M1 or the E30 M3 was, now is it? No. That being said, although the M1 and its mid-engine layout have never come back in BMW's lineup to the same degree, its styling continues to live on in BMW, with the 2008 M1 Homage concept and the 2019 Vision M Next concept. But the true successor to the M1, in the sense that it was actually designed and built by M Division, is the 2023 XM. Yeah, the successor to the iconic mid-engined M1 sports car is a hybrid SUV that makes 740 horsepower and weighs over 6,000 pounds and kind of looks like a blind kid on meth built an SUV out of Legos. It's awful. I think it might be the worst car BMW has ever made, which is kind of amazing given that the horrifically unreliable V10 M5 is a thing. And to be honest, the fact it's advertised as the second M car after the M1 sullies the good name of not only that car, but, you know what, since we're on the bloody subject of ranting, the Citroen XM too, since it shares its name. Stupid freaking thing is it. If a meteor hit the BMW headquarters guy who made this decision, I would not shed a tear. But, like, regardless, technically, the successor is the XM, but we're going to ignore that and pretend it never existed, because, well, the M1 is far better and deserves far much more, because unlike the XM, it is a legendary piece of kit that BMW has never really truly replicated. The E30 M3 and the E28 M5 both share its engine and lightweight philosophy, but without that iconic styling and mid-engine layout, they're not even in the same league. It's one of those rare cars that was designed to race, but was far more iconic on the road than it was on the track. But you know what? Being grouped with the likes of the XJ220, the Ferrari 288 GTO, and the original 911 GT2, that's not a bad group to be a part of.